Hi, I'm Bill Ritchie, and today I'm going to test Galleon press number 8, Galleon Halfwood press number 8 on its way to Richmond, Virginia. And to test the press, I'm going to use this 16-gauge dry point that a student from North Seattle Community College made. And I'll be using Charbonnel black ink, hot plate, and a very simple process. The Galleon is capable of printing an 8-inch plate. It has a 9-inch bed, but this plate is smaller, and that's what I'm going to use. Before I started, I dampened some paper, and it's in the plastic bag waiting for me. When I print a dry point, I still like to warm the plate when I start, but I don't wipe it the same as I print some of my other intaglio plates. I spread the ink on, and then I roll it out with a brayer. I feel that with a dry point, there's so little intaglio, there's so little to hold the ink that it's best not to go after it with tarlatan as I would on it if I were an etching. That little brayer makes the ink very uniform, uniformly distributed. Then I wipe the ink off the brayer and I roll it again, and each time I roll this ink up, it transfers to the brayer. I wipe it off with the rag, and I keep doing this until I can see the image fairly well, and then I start doing the hand wiping. This brayer technique also ensures that you have a nice even tone in the background of the plate. Well, now I can see my image pretty clearly, and so it's time to start the hand wipe. Then I'll clean the edges of the plate. I'll warm it once more, and then I'll set up the press for printing. But since I've got my hand nice and black, a little waterless hand cleaner is what I need. And since I'm going to be handling the felts with my I want to be sure that I've got some talcum powder on my hands so I don't get any ink on my felt blankets, actually the felt blankets that are going with the press. The Galleon press has some nice features. One is the synchronized pressure screws. When you turn one pressure screw, they both turn. They're connected with a little chain here. But when you tighten the press down clockwise, you use two hands. You don't want to try to put a lot of stress on that chain. It's a strong chain, but you don't want to stress it. The other feature I like on the Galleon is the bed is rack driven. Instead of being driven by friction, it's driven by a rack on the underside of the bed. That means that all you have to do is turn the wheel. You don't have to worry about whether there's a lot of pressure on the bed or not. I'm going to print on a piece of Arches cover paper. It soaked for about an hour before I started. Then I blotted it off and let it sit in a plastic bag. I've already set the pressure. I judge the pressure partly by the little roller rulers on the side of the press. There's a mechanical advantage because of the gear and the rack, a mechanical advantage of a 3-to-1. So it's just like having a geared press of 3-to-1 gearing. Now I can't turn the press around for the videos very easily, although it only weighs 50 pounds. So I'll just do that for the video. And I have a practice of putting a moment number on the back of the print. That's the moment it was printed. The 11, the year, the month is the 10, the day is the 5th, and the time by the 24-hour clock is 14:20. There's the trial proof. It's a dry point, very delicate, has the look of a graphite pencil almost. Well, that concludes the printing part of this test. I want to show us for a second the feature I talked about, the roller ruler. There's a roller ruler on each side of the press and on each side of the block, which you can use to refer to the general setting of the pressure. So much for that part. There's one more feature that I mustn't leave out, and that is the press ghost. And in order to show that, I need to use this laptop computer. The press ghost is my idea of putting, like a teacher, into the press. It's actually just a little memory chip. But the designer, Tom, and I figured out a way to hide it in the press. So we can connect the Galleon Halfwood press to a USB cable into a computer. When you plug the press ghost into the computer, you get a directory that's just like a website. I click on the index file, and it opens the screen that shows the entry for the press ghost. There's so much on this memory chip, more than there is time to describe it on this video, so I'm going to just leave it at that. Give you the idea that you have a press ghost, and you can click on any of the directories and look at the user manuals, which are PDF files. Read with Acrobat. You get the idea. So that's the other feature I wanted to show on the Galleon Halfwood press. This one's all tested out now, and I'll be sending it to Gene in Richmond, Virginia. I'm Bill Ritchie. Thanks for watching.
Okay.
I just had a brilliant idea. I mentioned a minute ago that I'm using a plate made by a student from North Seattle Community College. And then it occurred to me that it would be great to have a private school. And this private school would be set up so that the students came and tested the Halfwood presses. Just like they do when they are invited to go and test a video game. Young people love to go test video games. In this case, they would be testing the presses. And the presses are loaded with a video game, and it also has to be tested. Isn't that a brilliant idea?
What's the game about?
The game is about printmaking.
Okay.